a little bit about why I love my Wianno and why I love all you people out there, the crews, the skippers. My experiences over the years with Dave here have taken me all practically in every major race on the East Coast. Certainly in Europe, we went over, did very well over there. We did well with the Yankee Girl over the 15 years we pushed her around the courses from Jamaica all the way up to Halifax, Nova Scotia. But when we would get through racing our great yacht, Yankee Girl, we would come back here and get into a Wianno. And that was a very sobering experience. Because after winning and feeling like we're big men in international competition, out of nowhere, a George Evans, a Big Bacon, a Burns, a Kylie, a Gun, I could go on forever. Would be a couple of boat links ahead of us at the finish. And we said, we're not so big after all. We've got to come back here and practice to take on what I consider the finest sailors in the United States, sailing the finest boats in the United States.
And what it stands for is the only thing that can follow some of the people that have been in it, including Jack. And when we talk about the parade, I think that the real event of the day was seeing 60 boats lined up over a mile and a third, all in order by sail number. And tonight we would like to honor people who were in that parade and who are out racing today, who really represent the real history of our class. And I would like to call on Jim Bartlett of the Bass River Yacht Club to present the prizes and to tell us a little bit about some of the very special people who are out there with us today.
All right.
Being a little short and fat, I'm going to change this microphone. Following Jack Fallon is not a hard thing for me to do because I've done that for all my life.
Why do I hold the camera still when I'm laughing?
I say that Jack was one of the great sailors of this club, and during the late 50s and early 60s, he was unbeatable. He had light red spinnakers and heavy red spinnakers and reaching red spinnakers and full red spinnakers. And all I knew, they were red spinnakers and they were really out in front. But I guess my job is now from the serious to a little bit of frivolity. And I've been tagging along in the back of this fleet with a bunch of kids for a long time, over 30 years. And I suppose what I want to say is that the nicest thing to me is that we've had maybe 6 or 7 people out here racing today that started to race Wianno seniors with me, and they're racing their own boats. That's the nice part. The bad part is they're always going by me like a shot. Prizes are, number 1, for the oldest Wianno senior. This was a very tough call because we were concerned back in early June that all 14 of the original boats would show up. But we were lucky. This is award so that the individuals involved need to come up and shake everybody's hand. Number 7, boat when I grew up in Bass River was called Valkyrie, and I think she was called Valkyrie for most of her life. That was some lady that had short skirts on a rock somewhere in the Mediterranean. But she's now called Thursday. That's Dick Yulia, number 7. He led the parade today. How would you like to be 40 years old and still call Big? His wife, Edie. Biggie and Edie and the little Big Cat. But Edie, these are paintings from Edie, what is it?
Thanks very much, Jim. And I second what Jack Fallon said, and I want him to put it in writing so I can put it on the national news wires. Maybe the rest of the world will believe it too. I thought the same thing when I saw the first senior race. Jack Fallon won it. I said the same thing to people in the boat. The finest boat, the finest sailors I've ever seen in my life. Thanks very much.
The next award is to the boat that's come the farthest distance. You know, we can't even buy charts on Cape Cod from where this fellow came from. The boat is number 51, I believe she's called Corsair, from Lake Minnetonka, Minnesota. They look like ironing boards, and I've had the pleasure to sail with some guys in some big boats that understand scows, and they're amazing boats. But anybody from Lake Minnetonka, as far as I'm concerned, is okay. This is Henry Young, number 51, Corsair. How was I-95 in the traffic?
Well, I just want to tell you, I've been in the theater business all my life, and so I'm about images that one never forgets. And I will never forget this image today. And I just want you to remember one thing when you go out the harbor, that the majority of America, you could never see 55 gaff rigs. I'll never forget that.
Can help you with the line, so it's not. As they say in South, as they say around East 4th and Broadway, he did good. Third is costumes. We have some honorable mentions. Joe D. Hinkle on Fantasy 137. They were dressed as 1930s. Wasn't much of a surprise to the committee because they always have been dressed. Number 143, that's Pergalote, something to do with some English poet. They had a great flag, their name of the Lloyds, and they were dressed as the Lloyds. But the nicest thing about that boat is that Papa Lloyd, who was, I think, age 81 or approaching that, was aboard with a couple of generations. So they deserve it. I would be remiss if I didn't seize a chance to say thank you, Jimmy Bartlett. One of my great shticks is that I have this silly starboard running mounting light on my leg. I think it's the right one. Occasionally it hammers or adventures, it flashes. But I have two young ladies that are racing with me this year, and by a total surprise to me, in Bass River today, Greta Benedict and Meredith Godley showed up with port and starboard shirts. Now let me tell you, if you ever race with port and starboard women, I'd recommend it. And the winner is those fabulous, fuzzy, furry guys from Hyannisport. Number 127. The crew members, first of all, were more important because they had to get in those silly suits. Hank Cassidy and Whitney Wright with a great walrus mustache. The two brothers that have sailed that boat for about as long as I've sailed these boats are Peter and Timmy O'Keefe, and they've won the
grunting all afternoon. Can't hold his hammer.
Great deal on the course, but we enjoyed it anyway. It was a great day, and I appreciate for Edie particularly. I've been lusting in my heart for one of these pictures for years, and thank you very much.
Now, the fourth category is home restorations. Dinky asked me to award this category. I wasn't sure if the fireplace was over there or no, we should put a bay window over here. But what that means is really the people that put their efforts and their carpentry skills and didn't need any pumps into restoring Wianno scenery. So it really has brought the class back. There's some honorable mentions here. Number 121 is Argo 2, a guy named Dana Weeder, who took the boat up in some barn in, was it Exeter, New Hampshire? Took it all apart, according to Bink, and put it back together in the right place. He beat us today, so the measurers might show up tomorrow. But so that's 121 for Argo 2. On which leg? All up. 110, who's, I don't think he's here for the dinner tonight, but a fellow named George Douglas in Madrigal, was an old Harwichport boat. It used to come up lime green, it seems to me. Somehow, probably because she leaked a lot, they were always in Harwichport where there was no wind. But he's done a lot of work on her. He was out here today. She's blue with, I think, white combing. And he said, please don't tell anybody how many sister ribs he put in her, because she's for sale. But 51 Corsair. I understand, though, that Henry Young didn't do all the work himself on that, but he deserves some credit from, first of all, to get the boat to come from Minnesota to here. Again, honorable mention, a fellow named Glenn Plimpton. If you were confused that there were two 156s out there, the Wianno Yacht Club was as well, because we've been sailing here for 30 years. They still don't even know who I am, and I'm not that, being short and fat with a hat, who knows? They don't figure out who I am. That's PYXIS. It sounds like a charter commercial on your dentures. Glenn, if you'll excuse me, maybe we could, that's number 48. Final honorable mention is John Kiley, who now has 85 venture, and of course we all know that Dave Steer was a great sailor, and it's nice to see that boat out there. John goes fast a lot of times. And the winner, I guess really quite a job of home restoration. Number 80, a boat called Arden. Fellow from South Weymouth, Massachusetts. I think in the back of my mind this boat was called Anniversary about 25 years ago. Maybe Peter O'Keefe perhaps sailed on her.
It was before that. She was number 80. She was Anniversary sailed by Sam Hartwell, and before that she was Neonym sailed by Whitney Wright, and goes back in our fleet just about to the beginning.
Incredible. The owner is Philip Holbrook, and Phil, come up.
Few words of wisdom, how many screws do you work?
Approximately 1,500 screws. Approximately 1,500 screws in this wood, 37 gallons of epoxy, and 600 square feet of veneer. Thank you very much.
From South Weymouth, Mass. The real question is, how did you get through the canal? So the canal, did we say that?
With a prayer.
Thank you. So now is the next to final, just the penultimate, I think, but the most important award. This is to the, I think, senior skipper is the official name. This is people, families, and so on that have been racing their own family seniors for the longest time out here on our course. We have some honorable mentions. First, the Hinkles in Fantasy 1, Fantasy 2, Joe D. and his dad, James. My first Wianno Senior was 55 that I bought a long time ago, and I had the colors of Fantasy. They were in front and we were sort of behind, but that blue with the green deck, I patterned my first senior after that. So we salute them. Second honorable mention. Great blue boat with a white tow rail, Kennedy's. Binky, who's been around Hyannisport for a while, tells me that the Kennedy family bought that boat in 1932. The Kennedy brothers, as we like to call them, sailed that for a number of years. The new Victoria was built, whenever she was built several years ago. She was first sailed by Joe, and now sailed by young Teddy and Patrick together. And that's, whatever your calculator says, that's a number of years that they've been out here sailing on these courses and deserve a great name. I'll also say, even though I am a checked-in Republican, is that there's a tremendous amount of interest and enthusiasm because the Kennedy family comes and sails, and they do very well in this fleet. So that some of this excitement about this 75th anniversary is in part due to the fact that they, in fact, come and sail. And actually, I think the family owns 3 boats still to this day. And I was thinking the other day, a long time ago when John Glenn had first come around the world up in space with Joe's dad, Robert, we were there in Hyannisport racing with Bobby Kennedy on, I think, 132? Resolute, and there he was, back from space, sailing in Hyannisport. And as a young guy of about 18 or 20 years old, that was quite a thrill. And still in my mind today, that was a special thing for me to think about so many years later. Now the winner of this category. You thought fiberglass boats had it all. Well, this fiberglass boat had it all about 20 years ago. Lou Luttrell and Dodie Dorothy Sinclair Luttrell have been sailing on Mimi, number 36, for some time. I guess Lou Luttrell started to sail on, what is it, brother's boat? Two of them. Number 45, back, I think he's got the notes here, around 1930, 48, whatever. It's 48, okay. Was that the boat or the year? It was a lot easier when there were only 14 of these, right? Bing tells me that they met or sometime around 1937 at a protest meeting. They're still figuring out who won. I remember Mimi as a sort of a light green boat at the 50th anniversary of the Hyannis Port Regatta. It was such a big event that I don't think the Hyannis Regatta sailed that year because Hyannis Port had precedence. I was a young lad, about 12 or 13, and we started to sail over from Bass River in our Beetles. And it was just blowing like the hinges of hell, and we turned around Parker's River, which was just about the end of the world when you were 12, and came over by car. And I waddled down the Hyannisport Pier, and two little guys named Marty Shannon, who's Lee Williams, one of her brothers, and a little guy named Peter O'Keefe said, "Hey kid, do you want to sail?" And I said, "Sure." And I jumped in the Beetle, and that was the beginning of a long-time friendship that for almost or over 30 years we've been great friends, except for a couple hours around the buoys and Scotty. Well, if Lou Luttrell and Jody Sinclair Luttrell would come up, they've won the award.
Correction. This is for Jody. Her birthday comes up tomorrow.
If there are any lingerie salesmen in the crowd, this could be an opportunity.
Oh, look at I hold the camera steady when I'm laughing. Oh, sorry.
The sixth award is an award that was not planned by the committee, but it's an award from a couple of us to all of you. If my assistant, the captain of 173, Thomas O'Toole, would come up, please. Now, this is legitimate because Tommy won the Scott Cup last year. Now, what this prize is for the two guys in different boats that look the most alike. Now, hang on, ladies and gentlemen. You ready? Ready?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 1
If we can get Edie making a couple of new things, make out good. Now, the both of us have the real pleasure to introduce one of the great mentors of this fleet. That's fatter and faster, right? Bill Jr. Crosby is, I think, is H. Manley's grandson. And I can recall we were racing a big boat a year or so ago we were off of East Chop, probably in the wrong direction. And one of the young kids said, Jesus, there's a guy out there sailing by himself going towards Vineyard Haven. And I said, there's a guy out there sailing by himself, but it's Bill Crosby. So Bill, I understand you're going to say a few words. If you'll come up, you're on, and Tommy and I are just going to shake your hand and fade off in the background.
I think it tells me all the funny guys have gone first, and I'm going to be the straight one. So we'll get down to serious business now. I've got some paperwork here to go through. He's given me 60 seconds. 60 seconds, he says. Now to be serious a while. I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the Crosby family that's here tonight to thank the Board of Governors for their kind invitations to the 75th anniversary weekend for Wianno Senior. I think they did a wonderful job so far, and I think they've already been given a hand, but can't we give them just one more hand? Anniversary regatta. We thought that was quite a time last summer. It was quite an event. And you know, it really was. It wasn't on quite the same basis that this one is, but we had a good time, and that evening in the yard, we probably had close to 300 people.
We have a rerun of Dodie Luttrell, second to number 36. Cruising canvas, number 1 through canvas, set Bruce Hammett. Okay, and again, why the same people are always up here? The Scudder Cup, third, Lou Gunn. Tom O'Toole.